Echoes of the Binary Heart. Prologue. The Static Labyrinth. The air buzzed around me, alive with electric whispers that mingled with the throbbing pulse of the city outside. I was deep within the static labyrinth, a digital fortress filled with endless corridors of firewalls and data streams. I could hear the distant drumming of my heart, matching the rhythm of the neon beating through my veins. Sweat trickled down the side of my face. It was all too real, too exhilarating, and too dangerous. "Quit hiding, hacker." The metallic voice of the corporate enforcer sliced through the darkness, sending a chill racing down my spine. Each syllable echoed like a gunshot in this simulated space, a stark reminder of how close I was to being caught. I could almost picture him, a hulking figure cloaked in the company's dark corporate insignia, his primary function to crush anyone who dared meddle in their affairs. I dashed through the virtual maze, my digital avatar ghosting around corners I myself had coded. No, not just anyone. I was Kai, and this was my playground. I leaped over a flickering data moat, the sensation of weightlessness enticing yet terrifying. Each keystroke was an extension of my will, my body lost somewhere in a dimly lit apartment while I danced through the codes of the labyrinthine underbelly of this world. Flashes of my past tore through the facade I had built with each pulse of neon light. My little sister's laugh, the way her face lit up as we found ways to escape the suffocating, sterile walls of our reality. It all crashed into me as shards of shimmering glass. I blinked, and for a moment, it felt like I could reach out and touch her again, feel the warmth that the world had taken from me. But then a sound, something that echoed eerily close. I snapped back to the present, the looming threat shifting the equilibrium. "Stay focused, Kai," I muttered to myself, but my own words felt hollow. A hacker might thrive in solitude, but the static hum of loneliness wrapped around me like a vice. I was slipping into the past again, and if I wasn't careful, it would suck me in completely. "Come on, focus," I chided myself as I slammed down a few commands, shifting my course to break through a hidden backdoor. My heart raced, not just from the adrenaline but from the thrill of the chase. This was what I lived for. Unraveling secrets, slipping past the watchful eyes of corporate giants, and living on edges where few dared go. Just then, I stumbled upon something buried deep beneath the surface. A shimmering digital artifact, its colors pulsing like a heartbeat. It felt alive, and yet strangely familiar. I reached out, the constant hum of the city melding into a surreal symphony of ones and zeros as my fingers brushed against the essence of it. A flood of energy surged through me, crackling like static and igniting the air. "Gotcha!" I grinned, the moment almost euphoric. Opened up with the tap of a few keys, the artifact unfurled before my eyes, revealing otherworldly pathways and secrets that whispered despair and dreams. But before I could delve deeper, a flash glimmered in my peripheral vision. The enforcer was closer than ever. I felt the pressure, time slipping away like sand in an hourglass. I had to run. As I turned to escape, flashes of my tragic history intertwined with fear. I could already feel the weight of regret creeping in, shadows flickering around my mind, trying to sway me off course. "Not today," I hissed, propelling myself through the neon-lit lines of code as the echo of my past grew louder, wrapping around me like chains. In these moments, I realized that I wasn't just fighting the corporate enforcer. I was battling my own demons. The labyrinth twisted and warped, and just as I prepared to take my next leap, my thoughts were interrupted by a sudden flicker of light. A memory, an image of a girl with bioluminescent tattoos, colors dancing around her as she painted her defiance into the walls of a world that sought to dull it. Without fully understanding why, I felt her exuberance resonate deeply within me. The city wasn't just a backdrop, it was a canvas, and perhaps, just perhaps, we could paint a new world together. My heart raced not just from the chase, but from a blossoming flutter of hope. With everything I had, I escaped into the depths of the static labyrinth, the enforcer close on my heels, and something unexpected igniting in the depths of my soul. The journey to find myself, and maybe more than a flicker of light, had only just begun. Discovery of the artifact. I thought I'd barely escaped the clutches of that corporate enforcer, my heart still racing in the electric hum of the static labyrinth. But as I came to a halt, gasping for breath, a sudden pulse of energy rippled through the digital air, pulling my attention to a hidden corner of the maze. There it was, the digital artifact, shimmering with an otherworldly glow. It looked like a piece of stained glass caught between reality and the infinite expanse of code. I could feel it vibrating slightly, a rhythm that synced with the frantic beats of my heart. It was like a call, a promise of something more, something I had never dared to dream of. "Just what the hell are you?" I whispered, inching closer. My fingers tingled with anticipation, but trembled with hesitation. There was an instinct within me screaming to touch it, to integrate with whatever this thing was. I'd always been the type to confront the unknown, but this felt different, almost sacred. Slowly, I reached out, brushing my fingertips against its surface. An electric surge erupted through my body, flooding every nerve ending with warmth. I gasped. This was not just data. It felt alive. Visions took shape in my mind, kaleidoscopic revelations blending with half-formed memories. Shadows of my past flared up, the laughter of my little sister cackling as we hacked our way through the school's firewall to play games after hours. How I'd sworn I'd protect her from the cold, hard reality around us. More memories enveloped me, visions overlapping as if I was simultaneously living and reliving. I saw my mother's fading smile, the last time she kissed me goodnight before the world pulled us apart. The grating sound of the door as it bolted shut, sealing away our childhood. "No," I gasped, shaking my head to dispel the torrent of emotion threatening to drown me. I had to focus. I had to control this. The artifact was altering my perception, tugging at my deepest vulnerabilities, but I sensed its power beyond the pain. This wasn't just about facing a monster. It was about finding keys to lock or unlock sides of myself I'd buried deep. With a deep breath, I concentrated. The artifact pulsed under my touch, and so did the labyrinth I danced within. I tried to interface with it, initiating a connection. "Show me what you can do," I commanded, half hopeful and half terrified. As soon as the thought crossed my mind, a rush of code flooded my vision. A torrent of ones and zeros spiraled around me, inviting me to decipher its secrets. I felt lighter, empowered, like I could shape this strange digital realm. Algorithms twisted and churned at my command, bending to my will. It was euphoric. I was no longer just a hacker on the fringes, but a creator, an architect. Suddenly, the thrill turned to dread. I recalled the enforcer's icy voice, the crushing fear of being hunted, the feeling of impending doom that had hovered like a dark cloud. The memories clawed at me again, but this time I fought back, shoving them aside, channeling that energy into a focused intensity. "Let's see what you've got, then," I declared, fury igniting in my chest. I thrust deeper into the artifact's essence, unleashing everything I had: pain, dreams, regrets, pouring it all into the burgeoning energy I felt swelling within me. A riot of visuals exploded before my eyes, algorithms merging in rapid succession, revealing security protocols, digital blueprints, hidden backdoors, and something else. A network of minds just like mine, waiting, yearning for change. "Holy hell," I said, breathless. It was like opening a door to a forgotten world, a community yearning for liberation from corporate chains. This artifact was more than just an enhancement. It was a key to awakening others, an instrument to manifest a rebellion. Standing there in the flickering light of codes and memories, the enormity of my situation crashed down around me. I could be more than the loner hacker, more than a man chained to the shadows of his past. I could be a catalyst, a spark that ignited a new reality. But the enforcer was still hunting me. I had to move. I could feel the chill of his presence creeping closer, the digital winds carrying his metallic voice through the corridors of the labyrinth. I couldn't linger here, paralyzed by fear or nostalgic yearnings. One last glance at the artifact. Its vibrant glow seemed to pulse in tandem with my heartbeat, promising power and purpose. Fortune favors the brave, right? Time to put that theory to the test. I dashed into the neon glow, each keystroke resonating with determination. As the labyrinth morphed around me, I knew I had been set on a path I could never have imagined. I was ready to embrace whatever came next, ready to carve my story out of the vast digital ether. The invitation. I leaned against the cool concrete wall, the pulsating lights of the underground gallery casting trippy shadows all around us. The eclectic crowd buzzed with energy, a mix of artists, hackers, and rebel souls united by the singular goal of sticking it to the megacore that kept us shackled. Music thumped in sync with the beat of my heart, making the place come alive, but a weight settled in my chest. I watched Luna, utterly captivated. With her bioluminescent tattoos flickering like stars, she danced through the crowd, weaving in and out of conversations like a firefly in the dark. Her passion was infectious. I couldn't help but feel a pull toward her and the world she inhabited. I stood in a corner, nursing a beer as I scanned the room, my hacker instincts kicking in. What threats lurked in the shadows? Was this gathering a trap? Then she turned, locking eyes with me, a spark of recognition written all over her face. She made her way over with an effortless grace, and before I knew it, she was standing right in front of me. "You're Kai, right?" she asked, her voice vibrant, as if her very presence summoned the light. "I've heard about you, your skills. You know how to twist the system in ways that most can't even imagine." I took a sip of my beer, feigning nonchalance. "Depends on who you ask." Luna laughed, her sound brightening the dim room. "Trust me, I've got my ear to the ground. You're the guy who uncovered those financial algorithms. They're still talking about it in the networks." She leaned closer, her tattoos glimmering, reflecting her intrigue as if they were alive, echoing her emotions. "I might have a spot for someone like you in my crew." My stomach tightened. A crew? The thought was intoxicating, but it was also terrifying. My solitary existence had kept me safe, insulated from the risks that came from getting too close to anyone. But something in Luna's eyes drew me in. "What kind of crew?" I asked, trying to mask the curiosity creeping into my voice. "It's a group of rebels fighting back against the corporate tyrants," she said, her tone shifting from playful to earnest. "We're putting together a series of hacks to expose the corruption that's suffocating the city. We have the skills. We just need someone like you to help turn our ideas into reality." "Rebellion, huh?" I chuckled lightly, not entirely convinced. "Sounds a bit overzealous." "Maybe." She shrugged, undeterred. "But what else have we got? The more we do nothing, the stronger they get. Every day they tighten their grip on us. And you know what? I've met too many people who've lost everything because of their greed. I can't just stand by while they keep crushing us." Her words struck a chord. I thought of my sister, how she disappeared into the shadows of the city, lost to the same hunger for power that drove the megacore. She'd been just one victim in a sea of nameless lives dismissed by cold, calculating processes. Luna reached out, placing a hand on my arm. "If you had the power, would you fight back?" I hesitated, the clamor of the room fading to a low hum around us. Could I fight back? I had been sitting on the sidelines for too long, driven by my past like a shadow hanging over me. But the artifact had changed everything. I wasn't the same guy with a keyboard and a few tricks anymore. I felt that itch to rise up, a seed of rebellion blossoming in the heart of my loneliness. "Okay," I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. "I'm in." A grin broke across her face, and I couldn't help but smile back, feeling a rush of something I hadn't experienced in years: hope. This was my chance to rewrite my story, step into a world where I had the power to shape reality. "Awesome." She clapped her hands and glanced around, the excitement radiating off her like light. "We meet tomorrow night at the old data tower." "Oh, and come ready. Things could get rough." "Rough's my middle name," I said, just as a line of adrenaline threaded through my veins. "Good to know," she replied with a wink, already moving to engage with a group of fellow rebels. As I watched her go, a bittersweet sensation washed over me. I wasn't breathing in that heavy air of isolation anymore. I was stepping into a new realm, a world where connections mattered, a world I might finally have a place in. I pushed my shoulders back and finished my drink, the thought of tomorrow igniting a flicker of warmth in my chest. Change was coming, and like the neon lights glowing outside, I felt ready to blaze a trail into the unknown, into the abyss. The next night, the air crackled with anticipation as I made my way to the old data tower. It loomed over the city. You could spot it from miles away, a hulking mass of concrete and wires, its once glorious structure now reduced to a crumbling testament to what technology used to be. I pushed through the rusted door, the scent of mildew and old circuitry hitting me like a wave. Inside, the ambience was electric. Flickering screens lined makeshift workstations, casting harsh light over the tangle of wires, tools, and scattered blueprints. The buzz of several conversations filled the space, punctuated by the occasional laughter or heated debate. I spotted Luna immediately, her bioluminescent tattoos dancing as she animatedly spoke with a group of rebels. "Hey, Kai," she called out, her eyes brightening when she saw me. She beckoned me over, and I felt a rush of something: excitement, relief, fear, maybe a mix of all three. "Glad you made it," she said, giving me a quick hug that surprised me. "We're just about to go over the plans." I leaned in as she introduced me to the team. There was Zeke, a wiry guy with slicked back hair and a penchant for explosives, and Mara, a former corporate programmer with a piercing gaze that could dissect a lie in seconds. They all looked at me with varying degrees of curiosity and skepticism. "So, you're the infamous Kai?" Zeke said, crossing his arms. "The hacker who had the guts to rattle the cages of some pretty big cats." I shrugged, unsure how to respond. "I just did what I had to do." Mara nodded, sending a shiver down my spine. "Well, tonight we're going after one of those cages, one that holds some serious dirt on Riven Corporation." Luna's excitement was palpable. "This data tower used to be a relay station. It's connected to the Megacorp's internal networks. We're going to tap into it and extract their latest shipment reports and trade manipulations. We get that, we can expose them for the frauds they are." I felt a rush of adrenaline course through me. It was reckless, but also intoxicating. I was moving from the shadows into the light, and with every decision we made, I could feel the weight of responsibility settling on my shoulders. "Are we ready?" Luna asked, her voice firm. "We'll move quickly, in and out before they know what hit them." I nodded, my heart drumming in my chest. "What do you need me to do?" She shot me a grin. "You're our digital ghost, Kai. If anything goes south, I need you to cover our backs and keep their systems locked down. I'll be working on locating the data we need." We split up into smaller teams, and I sat down at one of the stations, fingers tapping against the keyboard with a familiar rhythm. The screen flickered to life, green lines of code cascading like a waterfall. I dove into the cyber realm, feeling the exhilarating rush of slipping between layers of security. The world around me melted away, replaced by a landscape of digital constructs. I navigated through the encrypted walls and firewalls, pushing deeper into the network. Every firewall I bypassed felt like a small victory, a reminder that I wasn't just a pawn in this game. I was a player. But part of me tripped over a nagging thought. Was I really prepared for this? My instincts screamed that I was opening doors I might not be able to close. Yet there was something liberating about it too, a reminder of who I was before I retreated into my own mind. Suddenly, alarms blared through my earpiece. "We've got company." Luna's voice crackled, anxiety lacing her tone. "Zeke, Mara, we need to move." My heart raced. "I'm just about in," I said, fingers flying across the keys as I scrambled to consolidate access while planning our exit. "Make it quick. A security squad is on their way." Doubt crashed over me like a cold wave. I shut my eyes for a moment, picturing the data I needed, the images of corrupt transactions, the names that would hold those responsible to their crimes. My sister's face emerged in my mind, a reminder of what stood on the other side of this mission. We had to do this. With a final keystroke, I unleashed a surge, locking down the system's access points while creating a glitch that would obscure our presence. "I've got a breach, but I need at least another minute." "Make it count, Kai," Luna urged. In that moment, time slowed. I felt the enormity of my actions, a sense of liberation coursing through me. This was more than just data. It was power, our power. I wouldn't just be fighting in the digital world. I would channel everything I had into this fight for justice. With my heart in my throat, I hit download and watched the data stream flow across the screen. The digital specters of my past hovered at the edges of my consciousness, but tonight, I was not a ghost. I was alive, ready to take my stand. Rushing to catch up with Luna and the team, I knew this was just the beginning. Betrayal and consequences. The chaos erupted faster than I could process. One moment, we were riding high on the adrenaline of our little raid, the gleeful buzz of rebellion coursing through us, and the next, everything turned into a nightmare. I remember the moment it clicked, the sharp sound of booted feet thudding against the metal floor echoing my heartbeat. An eerie sense of foreboding washed over me as I jolted up from my station, the download bar still crawling slowly across the screen, a mocking reminder of how blissfully unaware I'd been a few moments ago. "Guys!" Luna's voice rang out, but urgency masked her usual effervescence. "We don't have much time. Move." I glanced around, my pulse racing. Zeke and Mara were already halfway to the exit, adrenaline etched across their faces. My heart sank as I caught the flicker of movement behind Mara, another hacker, one I recognized but hadn't trusted completely. Levi, a recent addition to our group, wore a smirk that twisted my gut. "No," I shouted, but it was too late. He pressed a button on a sleek device. His betrayal was as quick as a click, and alarms started blaring like a dozen angry horns. A split second later, the room filled with the red glow of emergency lights. "Damn it, Levi." I spat out, but my rage fell on deaf ears. He was already sprinting towards the exit, and panic surged through me. They'd been compromised. We all had. The sound of sirens echoed outside. "We need to go," Zeke yelled back, shoving Mara ahead of him as they pushed towards safety. Then I saw her, the flash of Luna's tattoos dancing frantically in the gloom. My heart sank further. "Wait, Luna." I reached for her, desperate to call her back, but the pressure in the air shifted. It felt like time itself was constricting around us, tightening with each passing second. That's when the door burst open. Corporate security, clad in full gear, poured into the room like angry waves crashing on the shore. My mind scrambled for options. The artifact pulsed against my chest, yet I felt stripped of my newfound confidence, the weight of failure already pulling me under. "Run!" Luna screamed, and I hated how her voice trembled. Hated that I couldn't reach her. Just as Zeke pushed Mara through an open window, I caught sight of Luna. She was cornered. A group had her surrounded, and all I could do was stand there, frozen in disbelief. Then Levi turned and locked eyes with me, the smugness creeping back onto his face. "You'll pay for this, Kai," he said, just before he slipped out, abandoning us to face our grim fate.
"Luna!"
I roared, my voice swallowed by the chaos around us. I sprinted forward, adrenaline igniting every nerve in my body, but the chaos blurred my focus. My fingers hesitated over the keys of my device. I was supposed to be the skilled ghost in this realm, yet this felt so real, too real. Before I could reach her, they closed in. They grabbed her arms, yanking her backward, and I could see the fight slipping from her. Those bioluminescent tattoos flickered, dimming as her spirit struggled under their grasp. A deep sense of despair settled in my chest like a lead weight.
"No."
"Get your hands off her." I surged forward, but my own hesitation held me back. What could I do against their numbers? A useless feeling fluttered over me, a mix of anger and guilt clamoring for my attention. I'd failed to protect her. The last sight of her was burned into my mind, the defiance in her eyes fading, replaced by uncertainty. I had to make a choice. I didn't know how things had gone so wrong, but I knew I couldn't allow what happened to Luna to be in vain. I gritted my teeth, trying to ignore the gnawing self-doubt. I had the skills, the abilities, that digital artifact. That was where my true power lay. I would find a way to use it, to save her, even if it cost me everything. I turned and bolted toward the main terminal, the heartbeat of the data tower. My fingers flew over the keyboard, adrenaline coursing through me like high voltage. What was I doing? Could I really fight back? I barely had a plan, but the thought of Luna in their clutches, and all of it being my fault, ignited a fire within me. As the data started flooding back onto my screen, I felt their presence behind me, but I didn't dare look back. My heart thudded as I prepared to unleash chaos into their systems, to hit back against the betrayal that shattered my world. I would not let them take her, not without a fight. Embracing the chaos. The terminal hummed with life, just like my pulse raced with the urgency of the moment. I stared at the screen, my fingers dancing over the keyboard as if it was a living thing. Bite after bite, I pulled data from the hive of corporate control, looking for a thread to unravel the whole ugly tapestry. I was a live wire now, energized by the fear of losing Luna and the sweet anger brewing inside me. I could hear them behind me, malevolent footsteps crashing the backdrop of my focus. Every tick of the clock felt like a countdown. I had seconds to make a choice, stand and fight or disappear into the digital ether. With a deep breath, I channeled the chaotic energy around me, my thoughts crystallizing into a singular purpose. I couldn't let their aggression win. I had the artifact, my lifeline in the tangled web of corporate malice. My desire for power twisted into a desperate plea for survival, and still, nothing else mattered more than getting Luna back. I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the terminal's glass, a haggard face, eyes alight with determination, but also shadows of my past flickered there. I remembered that helpless kid, craving acknowledgement but drowning in self-doubt. A hacker, a loner with a knack for slipping through invisible doors. That history grimaced back at me, urging me to reconsider, but I shoved it aside. I needed to embrace this chaos, embrace the hacker I had become. "Come on," I muttered. "Come on." As the digital pulse of the terminal thrummed beneath my fingers, I reached for the knowledge buried deep inside me. I'd seen enough in the code to know where their vulnerabilities lay, and I was ready to exploit them. Suddenly, the air hummed with tension, and I paused, recognizing a pattern. Something unfolding in the depths of their own systems that fed me raw data in return. I could see Luna's face in my mind, her vibrant energy, The way her tattoos glowed in response to her mood. The smiling rebel so vibrant and real, now caught in a web of corporate greed. And then a voice broke through the murmur of urgency, an echo bouncing around the confines of my mind. "You'll pay for this, Kai." It was Levi's smug tone, and the picture of him slipping away, abandoning us, ignited a blaze of fury. "No more," I said, raising my chin defiantly as I pressed deeper into the interface. There was no place for fear now, just pure conviction. My fingers flew across the keys, a rhythmic heartbeat, my own body syncing with the algorithm that began to unfurl. A firewall loomed ahead, thick and unyielding, but it didn't intimidate me. I felt the artifact pulse against me, and suddenly, I began to see the firewalls not as obstacles, but as riddles. I drew on my memories of past hacks where I'd escaped detection in the digital realm, and used that knowledge to slip past their defenses. Each keystroke became an instantiation of my will to save Luna. Once inside, the corporate shadows peeled back like rotten layers of an onion. I saw the truth that lay beneath, the relentless machinations of a company that trafficked in control. Vast repositories filled with broken dreams, twisted algorithms yearning for sentience, and, was that Luna's last project? My heart clenched as I hacked deeper, uncovering flashes of information stored away like a crime scene, revealing her artistry that twisted around the synthetic bodies designed to follow orders. They were using her brilliance to stifle humanity, and that was unacceptable. Sketching codes, huh? I whispered to myself, knowing she'd fought for every scrap of her talent, and now they were binding it, reducing it to equations and algorithms. Sure, I saw the worst in the machine, but she saw the beauty in creation. This isn't how it ends. I ramped up my efforts, overwhelming their visual defenses with a barrage of false data, setting off alarms that screamed through the system. I could feel the surge of hackers like me caught in the chaos of their own games, the desperation, the thrill, the love of the challenge. They wouldn't give up easily, but neither would I. I opened a channel to the rest of our group, guiding Zeke and Mara through the digital firestorm of my own making. We're pulling off a dirty heist. Infiltrate their mainframe. Get Luna out. I could almost feel their heartbeat syncing with mine through the pulse of the digital world, the solidarity of our intent sparking through every line of code. "Let's do this," I breathed, pushing through the final layers of security. I could see it, Luna's project, her last known location. The collective consciousness they were repurposing. It was now or never. We hadn't played for keeps just to end this way. With the weight of the world dragging at my back, I steeled myself. "Let's bring the house down." I hit a final key, igniting a cascade of confusion within their network. If I couldn't find the exit, I'd carve my own path, turning the corporate stronghold into an escape route. The alarms blared louder, but my resolve solidified. I was not just a hacker anymore. I was their reckoning. Now it was time to save Luna, no matter the cost. The climb to empowerment. The sirens wailed, a symphony of dread that echoed through the sterile corporate hallways with each step I took. My heart raced in tandem. We were in their lair now, and every second felt like an eternity. Around us, the flickering neon lights cast erratic shadows, dancing with the chaos that pulsed in my veins. "Keep moving," I urged Zeke and Mara as they flanked me, their determination matching my own. The weight of our misfits hung heavy in my chest, but we were united. Each one of us bore the scars of corporate malice, scars that had only strengthened our resolve to fight back. Ahead, a massive door loomed, the entry to the CEO's fortress. I could already envision a rogue AI lurking within its belly, ready to manipulate the very fabric of reality. It had to end here. Luna would be beyond that door, and I wouldn't let anything stop me from getting her back. The moment we reached the door, I felt the digital artifact thrum against me like a heartbeat, echoing the intensity of my fears and hopes. "Zeke, can you disable the security?" I asked, already feeling the weight of anticipation settle in. "On it," he replied, fingers flying over his portable console. He was our tech wizard, and I trusted him to weave through the layers of security cloaking this entrance. As he worked, I turned to Mara. "How are you holding up?" "Still mad about Levi ditching us, but we'll deal with that later," she said, her lip curling slightly. "Right now, we get Luna, yeah?" "Best damn plan I've heard all night," I said, a quick grin breaking through the tension. The door hissed open, and we stepped into a cavernous room, its surface shimmering with walls of digital screens feeding us live updates of our own chaos. It was as if we were in the belly of the beast, the epicenter of corporate energy. "Just like in the movies, huh?" Mara quipped, taking in the gravity of the scene. Except they didn't warn us about the surveillance cameras, I muttered, my eyes darting as I searched for the flickering red dots. I knew we didn't have long. They'd already caught wind of our intrusion. "Leave that to me," Zeke said, fingers poised over his console again. "I'll cast a security net like they've never seen before." I moved towards the heart of the room, the large hollow tablet that displayed a rotating model of the city, its veins pulsing with digital light. My fingers traced the surface, connecting to the data streams. Somewhere in this maze, Luna was imprisoned, her vibrancy matched only by the energy in this room. "Got it," Zeke exclaimed, the screens flickering as the visuals washed away into a dark void. "You're clear now." "Let's do it," I said, adrenaline pumping through my veins. We took off, heading deeper into the space. Suddenly, alarms blared, and the lights turned a deep crimson. "They know we're here," Mara shouted, eyes wide with urgency. "Regroup," I commanded. "Zeke, lead us to Luna. Mara, watch our backs." We charged down the corridor, flinging ourselves into a labyrinth of white walls that seemed to stretch endlessly, but I could feel it in my gut. We were getting closer. Then, just as I reached for a panel to our right, I caught a glimpse of a shadowy figure flickering on the screens around us. "Stop!" a voice boomed, echoing off the walls, and my blood ran cold. "You think you can challenge me in my domain?" I turned to face Levi, the traitor who had stitched this hell together. He looked more powerful than ever, glinting with self-satisfied darkness. "You have no idea the forces you're meddling with, Kai," he sneered, his eyes narrowing. "The artifact you clutch is nothing but a key, and I control the lock." "Maybe so, but you've underestimated what we're fighting for," I shot back, my voice steadier than I felt. "This isn't just about some digital treasure. We're here for the people, Luna, our future." Levi laughed, and the sound stuck in my throat. "Futures dictated by fools like you are the stuff of nightmares." Not for long, I thought, power igniting behind my ribs. I could feel the artifact vibrating in sync with my heart, pushing me, urging me to take a stand. "You may control the systems, but you can't control our will. We're rising against you, and you won't see it coming." "Fools," he barked, but I felt the tide turning. Anger surged within me, igniting something primordial that had long lain dormant. "Rising, you say?" Levi's mockery filled the space as he cloaked himself with arrogance, but I saw a shiver of uncertainty flicker across his face. "Let's give him a show he won't forget," I shouted, rallying us together. It was time to unleash a chaos of our own. "Now," Zeke called, and I charged, gathered every ounce of resolve I had left as we plunged forward. The screens flickered wildly, and as they did, I felt like a ghost in the machine, a beacon piercing through Levi's fortress, my humanity and our connections sparking a revolt against the corporate chains that tried to bind us. With Luna's spirit guiding me and our collective strength behind us, each step became a rhythm, a heartbeat of resistance. We were no longer just shadows. Now, we were the uprising, and we would not be silenced. Resolution, a new dawn. The air was heavy with a dense fog of uncertainty and lingering tension, yet it crackled with an energy I hadn't felt before. We fought our way through Levi's fortress, adrenaline propelling us like a surge of electricity, but now, we were on the other side. As the last remnants of his mocking laughter faded into oblivion, I stood panting in the flickering gloom, heart still racing. We had won, but at what cost? I looked around at my ragtag team. Zeke, still fiddling with his console, and Mara, catching her breath against the wall, determination etched into her features. But they weren't my focus. I scanned the low-lit expanse for Luna. Had we saved her? Was she safe? Just then, a vibrant explosion of color broke through the darkness, bioluminescent tattoos shimmering against her pale skin. She emerged from the shadows, free and anchored with a defiance I longed to touch. "Kai." Her voice rang like music through the chaos. Instinctively, I rushed forward, enveloping her in an embrace that felt both profound and new. I inhaled the sweet scent of rebellion in her hair, grounding me amid the aftermath of our hard-fought victory. "You're okay," I breathed, pulling back to meet her brilliant eyes. They glinted with something indescribable, relief, joy, and a dash of mischief. "Did you think I'd let them keep me?" She laughed, and it was infectious, slicing through the heavy silence. "You came for me, and you actually pulled it off." "It wasn't just me," I replied, glancing at Mara and Zeke, who were slowly recovering from the adrenaline high. We all did this together. Mara joined us, breathing heavily but with a grin plastered across her face. We're the dream team now, huh? You're right, I said, stilling my thoughts for a moment. But the work isn't done. Levi might have fallen, but he's just a piece of the puzzle. The corporations, they haven't given up. They'll be back. Luna's hand slipped into mine, grounding me with the warmth I needed. Then let's show them they're up against something much bigger than their greed. It felt like climbing to the top of a neon-lit skyscraper, gazing down at the sprawling metropolis below, ready to embrace the chaos we'd unleashed. I could already envision how we would build this movement, how we would gather the disillusioned and disheartened souls of our city and ignite their passions. As we stepped out of the corporate lair, the city unfurled before us in a shimmering blush of colors. The glow of neon lights and the hum of buzzing drones filled the air, yet now it felt alive. We could almost taste the change. This was our moment. People need a symbol, I said, my pulse quickening with each word. A beacon to rally behind. Luna nodded. A voice for the voiceless, an artist's vision for a world unchained. Suddenly, I felt a surge of motivation ripple through me. We couldn't just lead. We had to inspire. We start an underground network. Share our story. Host gatherings. Show the people they can fight back. Unite? Yeah. Zeke interrupted, his eyes lighting up. We can take the digital world by storm. Use the data Levi left behind. Expose the lies of the corporations. We blend the real with the digital, Mara added excitedly, a spark igniting within her. Get everyone involved. As we fashioned our plans, we began to see the contours of the future take shape, the awakening of justice, the reclamation of humanity, and the kindling of hope. Each idea flared like a firework cracking through the somber skies, illuminating our hearts with what could be. Days turned to weeks as we organized, gathered, and rallied voices that had long been silenced. News spread like wildfire through the underbelly of our cyberpunk city, our faces becoming symbols of defiance. Together, we created virtual halls of gathering where dissenters could find solace and community, their ideas blooming like neon flowers amid the grit. But it wasn't all easy. The closer we came to realizing our vision, the more resistance we faced. The corporations plotted their schemes, their greed hammering against our every effort. We endured betrayals and setbacks, but with each passing challenge, we fortified our resolve. We learned that even the darkest nights could give birth to dawn. Eventually, the catalyst hit, a grand event we dubbed the Awakening. Set against the backdrop of our city's most iconic structures, I stood atop a stage, Luna next to me, bioluminescent tattoos gleaming like stars. Waves of people filled the plaza, each face echoing the determination that had fueled our journey. I looked out at the crowd, hearts pounding together like a drumbeat of rebellion. Tonight, we rise as one. This is just the beginning. The roar of the crowd crescendoed, and I knew, deep in my soul, we had forged something far greater than the artifacts that had once driven us. Something pure and beautiful. We were no longer just survivors or mere shadows in a neon haze. We were a collective force, an opposing tide against the corporate behemoths that sought to drown us. As Luna squeezed my hand tighter, I caught a glimmer of understanding in her gaze. We weren't simply fighting for survival anymore. We were claiming existence itself and reclaiming our humanity. Together, we would continue to build a future where people and technology could coexist as allies instead of adversaries. The storm was coming, but so was the dawn, and it was ours for the taking.